Esports doesn't scream Yuumi to me, but maybe I'm just a Philistine. WE banning away some of the sustain, the Lulu gone as well.
I think they banned out the Yuumi as kind of sideways ban for the Ezreal, saying like, hey, we actually aren't too concerned about you pulling out something like the Ezreal if you don't have this annoying champion like Yuumi to not only enable him in laning phase, but also just go be a nuisance on Renekton later on. And that sets up for WE to pull out some engage of their own. Kind of funny enough, their comp is very flexible in terms of how it can play. You have the disengage coming out from the Gragas, setting up for some of the range from the Aphelios. But I think the fact that top esports have picked up Corki and Nidalee, W realized, hey, we're going to get outranged no matter what. We need to index into more hard engage. So they bring out the Leona and Varus hover for top esports right now. I think it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, that long range poke that we're talking about alongside the Nidalee and the Corki. If you go lethality on this Varus, you're going to do some serious work. You could even go on hit, honestly, just so you've got somebody that can deal with the Gragas and the Leona on the front line and the Viego that'll be jumping on top of everyone. And then just a support pick required from the side of top esports. Every time I see a top esports player hover Braum, I have horrible, horrible flashbacks to Worlds. It's not pretty. But luckily, it's not the same player. I daren't mention his name on broadcast. Over to the side of WE for the final lock-in.
For the side of WE needing to pick up a mid laner, we still have things like Vex available. It's really rough. I think W in a pretty tough spot right now. I like what top esports have drafted because TS have drafted a comp that is super good into anything wanting to jump into them, especially with the Braum to round things out. But we've already hit on, you have pretty much every champion on the side of top esports outranges both carries for WE. Corki, Nidalee, and Varus outrange both Viktor and Aphelios. So this could be quite rough, but W not having the best option, just going to go with the Viktor, going to give them some early pressure in laning phase, and also give them 2 hyper carries to play around. And if this game does go to, you know, the 30, 35-minute mark, regardless if top esports fundamentally should be able to outpoke you on objectives and try and run out these team fights, right? One fight at 35 minutes, you turn that into a Baron and the game's over. So I don't...
And also, when they lose the first game of a series, they usually have like 30 minutes of clarity where they play seriously and will win. And then it's game 3 where it goes a little bit clowny again. So right now, I'm leaning top esports.
Okay, we all know where Munchables favors. And speaking of TS, looking for that level 1, trying to spot out that we were going to fight for bot lane prio with the brush ward, but they didn't.
So I know you want to talk about the game, and I know that's what we're paid to do and all of that stuff, but just bear with me a second. I figured out how this series is going to go. Top esports wins this game through like the whole poke battle we've been talking about, etc., like a scene out of Star Wars. But then, miraculously, Teachermar subbed into the mid lane. Galio locked in. WE bring Elk back over. Everyone ganks bot lane 100 times a minute. Suddenly, WE wins the LPL.
You know, I gotta tell you,
out.
With your theory, I am totally fine with you saying they somehow trade for Elk right now in the middle of this match. That's acceptable. But saying that Teachermar doesn't play ASOL or Nocturne, not going to happen.
I mean, let's be honest. Galio was comfortably his signature, actually. Everyone talks about the ASOL because nobody ever plays ASOL. And people talk about the Nocturne because that's what he went to when Galio was banned. But Galio was the actual pick. Galio was the only one that was actually somewhat successful for the team.
That's because Galio's actually a good pick. We don't care about good picks. I don't want to think about a good pick for someone. I want to think about the niche, strange picks as Shanks out trading Knight. I think that was a good transition considering we were talking about mid lane. And yeah, Munchables,
yeah.
for WE thinking about mid lane, nothing's going to happen. This is Viktor versus Corki.
Where are you going with this?
There have been many solo kills in the LPL.
Matchup you could have picked to talk about. Corki and Viktor.
Is it the least? We have Leona versus Braum in the bot lane. We have a Gragas going up against Renekton in the top side. I feel like they're all pretty equal in terms of like, hey, these champions probably can't kill each other.
I feel like we've entered a new era of League of Legends where everyone always used to talk about Corki versus Azir being like the most miserable mid lane matchup, and I feel like Viktor has kicked Azir out of that conversation. Arcane came out. And Viktor stepped up. He's more famous now, so Riot's buffing him. And it's like, well, this is now the boring match. This is what we get.
I gotta say, though, I preferred Azir because at least with Azir, you can do the famous Dagda swoop and boot, you know? You can go in for that Shurima shuffle. There's some playmaking available, but, you know, for now, we don't get
And he
any of
looks
that.
really cool.
He does.
He's the Emperor of Shurima. He has a whole subreddit.
It will be especially cool when we get Shurima in Arcane, hopefully, or some other, you know, Riot series. Who knows what Riot's going to do with others, but Bunch, we got to talk about the game. I just want to point out to you, both junglers clearing. Cryo in pretty much all lanes for the side of TES. Xiaopeng maybe going to look for a gank, but you can't because Shanks is under tower and he's on Viktor. How does it make you feel?
What is this, therapy? I don't know. It makes me feel good, I guess. Top Esports doing what Top Esports does. Winning lanes. That's what this team is for. JackeyLove is actually going to be going for the on-hit Varus, by the way. Has that lethal tempo, not the Hail of Blades. So deciding that they do need someone that will be able to deal with the front line if a proper team fight does kick off. And I think that's reasonable considering the amount of poke that you have in the rest of the squad as well. Xiaopeng will be spotted here by BiuBiu, and BiuBiu is happy to take this 1v1, gets himself the Krugs, and will be happy with that. Not going to chase for anything more. Xiaopeng kicked out of BiuBiu's turf.
And now BiuBiu's going to have a window, right? He has Krugs, no other chances on the map. He can try and set up a gank. There are wards topside. BiuBiu should know that from the fact that Nidalee was showing. No Corki in mid, so sadly for BiuBiu, not going to have too much of an opportunity to make anything happen, but at least going to cycle through his camps a lot faster since Xiaopeng went for the counter jungle. Is going to have to recall before he can get to his Raptors and Krugs of his own. So for BiuBiu, feeling in a pretty good spot by forcing Nidalee off that one. I feel like for the side of TS, they are the team who we talked about sitting and waiting for W last time. You're kind of in that territory. The nice thing, though, is that you do have more options considering you have the Nidalee Renekton combo, so you can look more towards that top side. The annoyance is that you will be looking for that combo onto Gragas, so unless Zoom can continuously find trades like you saw on our screen just now, we know he's about to be 6, he's going to get Cask, and it can be quite annoying to look for those plays.
Kedaya is moving towards the mid lane alongside BiuBiu here, getting vision. They want to just stop Xiaopeng playing League of Legends. That's going to be a stun down, the Glacial Augment as well. Xiaopeng will be fine, just gets a couple of spears out. Not having a bit of a hard time in this mid lane. Is getting pushed out. 10 CS down right now. I just feel like having the best of times. Drake up onto the map as well. We are beyond that 5-minute mark. It is only going to be a Cloud Drake to start us off, but, you know, realistically, the first couple of Drakes of the game, it doesn't really matter what they are necessarily. More just matters of what soul they lead to. So a Cloud Drake being first, probably a positive thing for WWE ultimately, if they're getting first.
Yeah, it's all about cycling right now. As Top Esports going to look for the aggression on to stay.
In big trouble, flash for flash. The spear goes wide as well, but in the meantime, BiuBiu is grabbing the Drake for himself. Does mean Xiaopeng can make an attempt on this Scuttle Crab. He's just trying to push it towards the rest of his team here. Can't smite early though. Flash over from Kedaya. The slows are there. The root is there. Xiaopeng walks away. Top Esports haven't even lost health yet. Braum is the champion. And now Xiaopeng looking for more flashes for the stun, but it times out. Oh, it's a disaster for Xiaopeng. And he'll have to just retreat.
Oh, Zoom's moved down.
He's ganking the mid lane, and he's forcing a flash as well. Nicely done here by the top laner of Top Esports.
See, Munchables, this is our only hope, because we just saw what happened when skirmishes happened top side. You're like, okay, we have Leona versus Braum. No one is hurting anyone. Both sides are going to be able to walk away. But if top laners start roaming down, potentially things can happen. Zoom, like we said, has definitely brought more allocating pressure from lane to lane on Top Esports than they had with 369. We know Top Esports in the past 2 years were all about all 3 lanes, focusing on their laning phase individually, and Karsa trying to tie it together by running all over the map. Zoom, in his stint with Top Esports so far, has actually made quite a few movements towards mid lane and has tried to set Knight up for success, and we're going to continue to see that. So for Zoom, would be nice if we can see that capitalized on, the fact you have an immobile mage in mid lane without flash. Bring Xiaopeng over, bring Zoom over, and try to find those kills. But top lane right now, being held near Zoom's tower, so potentially trying to set up a gank opportunity topside, but BiuBiu did have a ward, so he should be fine.
Interestingly, Knight going with a Hex Drinker as the first item. Is this, I don't know the matchup super well. Is this a common item, or is this just pressure from Shanks onto Knight, who currently, Shanks is winning pretty handily in CS?
I don't feel like a Hex Drinker early, especially with the way the matchup's going in terms of how much EP threat WE has. I'm a little bit surprised. I'm not sure if he's should be worried about BiuBiu roaming over with the fact you do have Renekton Nidalee as your topside combo, but this definitely has not been common or what we've really seen in the matchup in LPL.
Bit of a first time. I can, you know, it makes sense. Get a bit of AD, get a bit of MR for yourself. Have to see how it's going to pan out. Certainly going to slow his build down on a champion that does need a few items to really come online. In the meantime, though, Herald started off by WE. They won it in game number 1. Top Esports, this time the ones late to contest, trying to move in. Knight is here with the package. Herald's down already, though. WE now getting packaged on. Now the fight kicks off as Zhuo backs away, goes down for his trouble. It's 1-for-1 as the Gragas falls as well. Stay in the middle of everyone. Has red and white Knight. Gonna have to Valk over the wall. Will survive for the time being. There's a route coming in though. JackeyLove off to the side. Can he finish these health bars? Everybody getting low for WE. And Top Esports collapsing. Looking for more. Stay in trouble. Knight needs one more rocket to finish the kill. But he's out of ammo. He can't quite get it. Now he gets his rocket available. Can't quite find his mark, and Stay will survive.
Really close fight for the side of WE, able to pick up the Rift Herald. I feel like is a pretty massive win with how many resources were committed on both sides. Had TS been able to pick up a few more kills in the back end with JackeyLove, definitely would have been a different story. Now for WE, they're going to come back out on the map first, so they are going to have a bit of a window to try and establish vision control, maybe potentially find opportunities. We're going to go straight into the replay Munchables. WE were the ones to start off this Herald. Of course, this was a package timing for Knight. JackeyLove, though, sadly still not here. And Zoom being forced out by both Shanks and BiuBiu before being able to get into the fight. Luckily, though, Knight saves it a little bit by knocking Gragas into the rest of his squad. We see Zhuo getting zoned out on the opposite side. I think it should have been a lot worse for TS, considering, once again, they're trying to play the fight on both sides, and it allows WE very easily to turn onto one target. For Top Esports, this is so unfortunate, like you said. Not having another missile to shoot out to finish off that kill on Stay.
So close and yet so far, but it is what it is. Top Esports at least getting themselves a kill or two, but WE once again finding themselves an advantage in this early game. They are slightly down on gold right now, but once you factor the Herald in, if they can use the Herald in a good way, it should be just about equalized. So once again, it will come down to where that gold ends up being placed across the team, because if you can get a Herald down to Stay, get a good chunk of gold onto that Aphelios, that's going to be a real good look for WE.
Yeah, bot lane would be nice. I feel like I'd love mid lane as well, considering that I feel like Shanks' E is ultimate. A lot of these abilities from the Viktor are going to do the key damage. Munchables, nothing is gonna happen. You have two dashes on your you have a dash on each top laner. Both will be able to escape. You can even sell in the cask as well, just in case he did mess up maybe a little too much. Both teams now gonna posture for Dragon. Zoom making his way down. BiuBiu still has TP, but it's not unleashed just yet.
Can't believe Dragon's up already. I feel like we only just talked about the Cloud Drake, but Ocean Drake gone down as well. And now a Mountain Soul. And that's honestly kind of rough for Top Esports. Like, when you're trying to run a poke composition, Mountain Soul makes that a little bit more difficult to achieve later on into the game. Certainly will give BiuBiu on this Gragas a lot of tanky stats to work with if they can stack up a bunch of those Drakes. But that is going to be a big if. And I feel like the mid game is going to be very telling because, you know, Top Esports, while they've got theoretically a lot of this poke, with an on-hit Varus and Corki, you're going to take a while before you can really do all or too much. So I feel like this composition sort of goes against the early game skirmishing style that I'm so used to. JackeyLove just walked under the tower for no reason. JackeyLove, what are you doing, man?
Munch, I don't know what you expect at this point. This is why last game when we were talking about JackeyLove having more range or things like this, JackeyLove is always going to walk forward and look for those aggressive plays. Another setback for Top Esports. WE finds something else. You having the Rift Herald, they can get some plates onto Viktor like we talked about. You're getting your mid lane ahead. Top Esports is getting the WE bot lane ahead. And it just wins all around.
Look, I know that JackeyLove does this. It's not that I don't know. But, like, JackeyLove, you've played AD carry before. You just auto-attack the enemy AD carry that has Graviton and a Leona. which part of this was going to go well? Like, at what point in the thought process did this end well? Why was that one auto attack worth dying and cost both his summoners? It doesn't make any sense. It's not even a JackeyLove thing. That's just...
Whoa,
this is Inch.
But what if Stay didn't auto and didn't press you? Then that one auto would have done like 100 damage or something. Actually less because we have resistance and stuff. Point is, there would have been damage dealt. And JackeyLove plays to have the highest damage percent in the LPL. He's not there right now, but usually he is sitting #1. So here's a bit of catching up to do.
Well, thanks to that 100 damage, JackeyLove has just got himself 3 solo tower plays in the bottom lane. What a legend. It was all part of the master plan. They're racing for first tower of the game, and Stay's going to be pushed away by Knight, which means JackeyLove actually also can't finish the tower because he ran out of minions. And the race continues.
Yeah, very interesting that WE decided to rotate their bottom lane towards mid. With the fact that they had Herald, maybe wanted to break that one down very early on, try and open up the map. They know with bot lane going up against a mid laner, they would be able to zone that one off. TES react accordingly by having both Xiaopeng and Zhuo hover up towards the mid lane. They can't just sit here forever. WE do bring other members, and they are able to solidify first turret to their side. And now they're going to start getting pressure up towards the top half of the map. Second Rift Herald coming up. They already have some wards down, but TES are making their way over.
They certainly are. We will not have a single Herald this series that goes down without a fight, or so it would seem. Zoom going to kick this one off, and looks like actually WE maybe not willing to contest. Oh, I was totally wrong. We are going to see a Herald without a fight. This top Esports is just going to take this.
You know, we were just talking about this during the break, but it's very easy to be wrong in the LPLs. Kedaya being massively chunked by Knight.
Oh, go on, Knight, go for it. He's got the package. Come on, mate. Ah, coward. Absolute coward. Now, to be fair, it would have been really in to go in, but it would have been cool. You have to admit it would have been cool.
It would have been great. Once again, buffing up, pumping up those damage numbers, which top esports motto. But for WE, they don't care about damage numbers. They're here for the win. BiuBiu trying to play around the spot side with you to set up another turret going over to their side. Gold is just about even, and Zoom has a massive advantage in that top lane, which really feels like where a lot of that advantage is coming from. But it still feels like WE have been playing as a unit better than TES have.
Yeah. I will say it's not the greatest achievement in the history of the game. Top esports, not exactly
not a high bar
for their team play. But I definitely agree that I'm going to take it. I'm going to give it a positive spin. Instead of it just being compared to top esports, I'm going to say WE are playing well as a team. This feels like a unit right now. It's not one star player that's trying to win the game and the rest of them dragging them down, like, for example, Knight in top esports. This feels like a real team that we're getting to witness, and they're going to start this Drake off. This is going to be a fight for sure. TP coming on through. There's a knock-up coming out from Zhuo as they try and get onto BiuBiu. Bit of damage from Stay. 50-50 on the Drake once again. Let's see who gets it. It's Xiaopeng. That's 2-2 on the smites this series now. There's BiuBiu on the front line. Kedaya low on HP, flashes out to safety. Zoom surviving. So Xiaopeng stuck in the pit though and will get finished off. Viego gets a bit of revenge. And now Zhuo has to tank for the rest of his squad. Moonlight Vigil goes wide. He's got a stopwatch well. View's the one in trouble all of a sudden, but their health bars are low for top esports. BiuBiu trying to collapse, trying to finish off more. It's a 2-for-1, all things considered.
That was all over the place. WE, a ton of mistakes on one side. TES, some people getting caught out. Now for TES, they're the team able to pick up the Drake. WE finding more kills off the back of that. No other neutral objectives up on the map right now, so both teams just going to go back to catching waves. We're going to see the replay here. I feel like this is already such a weird time to start because we already saw BiuBiu use explosive cast for really no reason. Gets zoned away. This gives top esports the time to get some damage out on Kedaya, but more importantly, just turn onto BiuBiu as a unit. Now Xiaopeng stuck in the pit though. Really nice flash coming out from Viego to be able to lock him down. It enables the reset to come out to keep following forward. Knight trying to put massive damage down. Really nice flash to get out of that gravity field, make sure he doesn't get locked down to keep putting out more DPS. But ultimately still, Biu, the person that set up the opportunity to find the reset to get the picks that WE needed.
Yeah, the only kind of weird thing about that fight is I think Xiaopeng could have just flashed over the back of the pit. He had flash up that entire time. And like, obviously he'd run out of pounce and maybe felt like, I'm Nidalee, I'm not allowed to flash over walls. I'm only allowed to flash for kills because I'm a pounce. But I don't know. I think he could have just survived that one. And if he survives that one, well, then it's a Drake and no deaths from Esports, right? So, a little bit of a misplay from Xiaopeng. You know what? Like I said, you live by the mojo, you gotta die by the mojo. And that's who Xiaopeng is.
But also, to be fair, I think Biu's timing was super fast. Fast figures coming in for that flash. For TES, though, they have been the team picking up the neutral objectives. They still have that Rift Herald that went uncontested before. So they're going to be able to get some damage down. Kedaya!
Finds from JackeyLove, and he's going to get knocked back. What a cast from BiuBiu! That'll be 2 picks for WE in the mid lane. And sure, the Herald gets a charge, but it does nothing. The tower's still fine, and WE in complete control now. That's 2 massive picks in the mid game that should be able to snowball them to safety.
You know, maybe we've criticized a few of BiuBiu's casts coming out these past few games. But the thing I love about it is BiuBiu uses the ability pretty liberally. Zoom trying to go in. Zoom, you're just going to die, bro. Yeah, oh, no, never mind.
Wait, what? I'm not even quite sure. I think that must have just been a Xiaopeng spear, right, to finish Stay off. I can't believe they pulled that off, honestly. You were still talking, so I was just going to allow it because it looked like Zoom had just completely sprinted it. But apparently not. Xiaopeng is going crazy for this one. Bit of damage from the laser, though, and Xiaopeng goes down and Shanks finishes him off. I don't know what's happening in this game anymore, Lyric.
I think Xiaopeng thought my top laner didn't just sprint it like was scripted and he was supposed to. I now must make up for his sins. I must show why I am a true member of top esports and going for it. We're going to go into a replay. I'm not sure which one. Okay, it's the mid lane replay. The Leona ultimate coming out onto JackeyLove. Really nice Zenith Blade. Bam! The sniper BiuBiu coming out with that cast straight into the E to guarantee these 2 kills. And what I was saying before is I love how liberally BiuBiu's using this ultimate to set up these picks. And this one, ooh,
okay, that didn't even hit.
Going right through the minions, the hitbox. A little bit wacky, but we take those.
Yeah. That's, if anyone's not sure what mojo is, that's mojo. You can't explain it. You can't, there's no logic. There's no...
The spear turns. That's what it is. It curves.
Yeah. It's like a Nautilus hook, but Nidalee. This has been a weird game. It's 7-4 in favor of WE. They have actually a slight gold deficit somehow. I'm not entirely sure how on earth they're 200 gold down right now, but well, it is what it is. The one thing I will say is last game... True, yeah. The one thing I will say is last game they had the Realm Walk, and that I feel like was a big crutch for them when it came to making these macro plays and being able to use that Realm Walk to punish top esports. This time around, they're on a bit more of an even playing field in that regard. By the way, Say took another spear there. That was half his health.
And this is the setup that we were harping on in Pick Ban, right? The fact that top esports can just slowly try to take control of an area, throw out the Varus Qs, throw the spears from Nidalee, make their way in like we saw now, and then once they get into position to fight for an objective, timing the Corki packages around that and making it very hard for W to walk in. It's just going to be a free 3rd Drake for the side of top esports. W going to try and respond by getting control of top side. They definitely can't threaten a Baron at this point in the game, especially with Knight having that package up, but still, at least decently quickly recognizing that they can't fight, but top esports using their setup and using their composition quite well.
Yep, top esports gonna have a bit of control here, and the crucial thing is that's the 3rd Drake in a row. That is going to be sole point now for top esports as well. So in case these long potential poke battles do end up happening, well, having a Mountain Soul is certainly going to help top esports out in that regard. And you can see slowly but surely Knight is starting to get into that powerful position. He's headed towards the Ludens. He's finished stacking his Muramana. And honestly, off of this reset, I expect he'll finish that Ludens off. So we talked about the Hex Drinker kind of slowing that build down. But when you have more than 10 CS per minute, well, you got plenty of gold to win.
Especially when you think about it, right? The enemy comp is going to be getting online quite slowly as well when it's all based around Viktor and Aphelios. So definitely not setting him behind too much, and has panned out, making sure he's not taking too much damage and people it's coming out from. We'll say 1.5 AP threats, considering that BiuBiu is playing the tank version of Gragas. Chemtech, as well as the Winter already being bought. Just kind of looking across the board, right? I wouldn't say any unexpected items coming out just yet. Stay going to be paying a lot of respect. Realizing he's mostly going to be hitting frontliners on the side of top esports, Zoom and Zhuo, with going with that LPL second. And yeah, everything else stock and standard. Shanks as well, Banshee's Veil. Those Nidalee Spears, as Munchables highlighted earlier, are hitting like an absolute truck right now.
Certainly are, and we're seeing both teams actually potentially posturing for a fight. Stay does have red and white weapons. That is a really good angle for WE. The concern I have for Stay is whether or not he ever gets in range to use red and white weapons in this kind of fight, right? You're against the Varus, the Corki, the Nidalee. Top esports never really want to be in a long enough fight for Aphelios to be able to do Aphelios things.
We did see in the last potential engagement from Zoom that, you know, he could get a fair bit of damage out on Zoom, and as long as Zoom doesn't flash really before, he will die. Ooh, the poke's coming out though, Munch!
Oh, the stun comes in as well, and that's going to be one finished off already. Zoom just buying time for the rest of his squad as it's 2 kills for JackeyLove. The reset for Viu as he tries to escape. The spears are insane. The rocket from Knight not quite finding its mark. Is Viu managing to block it for the time being, but that will be a tower and more control gained for top esports.
Top esports find the angle. They're kind of hovering around mid. We see the stare off come down. We know top esports should be able to win those. Again, a solid 90% of times. We're gonna see how the replay happens here. Throwing out the long-range spear, some rockets coming out. They whittle them down low enough to find the engage with Zoom. Zoom follows forward in, gets a ton of damage and distraction onto multiple members. He will die because the champions on WE do quite well into Viktor. And Xiaopeng doing a pretty nice job landing these spears this game.
Yeah, he doesn't seem to miss, and it's worth mentioning quickly as well. JackeyLove's hit 3 items. The on-hit Varus thing, we talked about how he needs a few items. He's got the items. He does damage now. He's real scary in these fights. So any opportunity that Stay has with the whole red-white, like, you know, getting enough auto attacks off, well, JackeyLove can pretty much match that at this point on the Varus. He is going to be doing massive damage himself. So this is starting to feel like top esports competition really coming into its own. See Knight has that blighted jewel as well, so headed towards a void staff for himself. Zoom, we saw in the last fight, is tanky enough that he can buy space and time for the rest of his squad while they whittle down the health bars.
Yeah, for all the Renekton naysayers who you know are out there, we respect you. Zoom's only job, stand in front of his carries, and guess what? Any champion can do that. Is WE gonna go for the El Classic LPL Baron.
They certainly will. They're doing what we should have seen from top esports last game, but the chain of corruption goes in. Xiaopeng up on the top side of this one. There's just damage across everyone, but Stay has fallen, and the carries are strong from top esports. They're looking for more as well. Flashes out from WE. And top esports, they just say, hey, thanks for the leash, guys.
You know the thing that's strange about this Baron, though, is that I feel like typically teams do Baron with some level of thought of like, hey, the enemy team just reset, or hey, the enemy team just pushed, so they have to reset, or maybe one man's down in bot. W are just kind of like, we really don't know how to fight them with the way that our champions interact. Screw it, let's go for it, see what happens. We have AoE damage, that can work.
What you're saying is WE straight up just went, go next. This one's doomed, lads. Let's just flip a Baron and see what happens. Hey,
I don't even
it didn't
feel
work,
like that was.
But I respect it.
I don't even feel like that was like a burger flip Baron for W. I feel like that was W like literally making some kind of like Gordon Ramsay gourmet burger for the side of top esports, because this is just so easy for them, right? They're already getting chunked low by the Baron. Zoom pops the Dominus, jumps in. All the other members of TS are like, oh, I just get to spam rockets, start on a phosphorus bomb, and they're all funneled into this little choke point. Sweet. And yeah,
Also,
Gordon Ramsay approved.
Varus. Like, no one ever talks about Varus. Oh my day, what? That was one rocket. Stay is 3/4 of his health gone. What on earth is current
And
version of
let's
Corki?
remember, this is also like not super heavily indexed into his full AP build right yet. Ludens, also being close to Void Snap, but still delivering that amount of damage.
It's insane. Absolutely insane. Yeah, I don't know. I think this one's stupid for W at this point. And I think they know it. I think you're absolutely right that they're kind of accepting this one. And Top Esports, they love delicious burgers. And they're going to go for another one here. As Stay just gets completely one-shot again. He's already out of the fight at this point, just forced away from a singular rocket from Knight, who, by the way, 0-0-10 this game. Doesn't have any kills for himself, but it's not about kills. It's about sending a message, and Stay is receiving that message loud and clear.
And for TS, they're just going to be able to keep going in, sending that same message over and over again to the side of WE. And it's very easy for them to stay comfortably in this position, right? Because they do have the range to play with, because they can siege down these towers and allow the Baron buff to give the minions what they need to take them. So I expect 2 inhibitors now for the side of TS.
Yeah, I don't think there's a way. I mean, how does BiuBiu, how does this team actually engage, right? Kedaya needs to just find a long-range solar flare. That'll do it. It's a good cast, but no damage has happened because Zhuo is playing Braum. He just blocks absolutely everything. Oh, it looked so good. It was such a good cast from BiuBiu. Stay is kicked out of the fight once more by a single skill shot. There's the solar flare. Can anything happen? Zhuo just presses unbreakable, and it ruins WE's hopes and dreams once again. Mr. Lyric, we're going in 3 games. We knew it was happening right from the start, and it is definitely happening. 12-8 as Top Esports pushes to 3.
Top Esports able to steal away WE's homework from game 1, saying, hey, just picked a bunch of champions that have long range and want to group, and this time we're going to do that. And when WE indexed into the same thing,